I have never been the kind of person who is all into Black History Month, although I am black. I have, of course, read about the life of Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement. I have read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I have read the autobiography of Booker T. Washington and many other books and writings on famous black people who were in slavery or who came out of slavery. I've also read many fiction books by black authors. Again, it's never been that my whole life revolves around being black. Black is just what I am. I'm a Christian first and foremost because Christianity goes beyond skin color. My life revolves around the Lord Jesus Christ. However, when Black History Month comes around, we should take a moment and think about what black people had to go through before this generation, before we came along. In recent years, I've come to respect and honor my ancestors more than I have in the past. Something that really opened my eyes and made me more aware of slavery is reading the book Uncle Tom's Cabin. And you know, we've heard black people, or heard about black people calling other black folks Uncle Tom, and that is a derogatory name to say that you're a sellout. Well, a while back I began to think about that, and I wanted to find out where that term originated. I wanted to read that book and see what it was all about. I found the free ebook on the Gutenberg Project website, and I downloaded the book from there. And I started reading it. Now, if you're easily offended, then you probably would not want to read that book, because from the very beginning, from the get-go, it starts out using the N-word repeatedly. Well, anyway, I read the book, and it turned out that is one of the best books that I have ever read. I really liked that book. There were times when it made me very angry. There were times when it had me crying. There's times when I was laughing. But the book was written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. She was an abolitionist. She wanted to see slavery abolished and done away with. She wrote this book to raise the awareness of the cruelty and the evil of slavery. She lived in the North, and at the time there was a law passed that required everyone to turn in runaway slaves so that they could be sent back to the South, back to slavery. So if you didn't do that, you could be fined very heavily or even go to jail. Harriet Beecher Stowe based a book on real people. She read of events that actually happened that were reported in newspapers and articles and books. She also got reports from word of mouth from people that she knew or had heard of. The main character in the book, which is Uncle Tom, was based on the life of a runaway slave named Josiah Henson. Josiah Henson was a preacher who escaped slavery with his wife and children. He founded a community in Canada where other runaway slaves could come and start their new lives. He also helped on the Underground Railroad. Now, the character in the book of Uncle Tom is very honorable. He's trustworthy and a very kind and Christian man. The book tells of his life as a slave, being sold away from his family and his home, being sold from one slave master to another. It tells of his struggles and his hardships. Josiah Henson, whose Uncle Tom's character is based on, escaped to Canada, but the character Uncle Tom in the book did not. The last slave master that Uncle Tom was sold to was very cruel. He hated Uncle Tom for being a Christian. He ordered his overseers to beat Uncle Tom for no good reason. When some slaves had hidden themselves in an attempt to escape, this cruel slave master himself beat Uncle Tom to death because Uncle Tom refused to tell him where those slaves were hiding. And this is a very good book. The lives of the other characters in the book are also very interesting. And Uncle Tom, in a nutshell, again, it's about a Christian who remains faithful to God, even while trapped in slavery, going through just terrible hardships and brutal physical labor and abuse, the emotional travail of being taken away from his family and his home. But through it all, even to the very end, Uncle Tom kept his faith in the Lord Jesus Christ to the very end. And when you think about it, it's amazing how people can twist and turn things around. I guess it's no surprise that the devil is always trying to take something that is good and twist it and corrupt it. People today, they call other black people an Uncle Tom and a sellout, but the character in this book, the Uncle Tom in this book, did not sell out fellow slaves. He refused to turn them in, even to the point of being beaten to death. He was a kind, honest, and honorable Christian who did not turn from his faith. And based on this book, being called an Uncle Tom would be a compliment. His character got twisted. And the character was twisted after the book became so extraordinarily popular. Harriet Beecher Stowe, she sold many books. The book was both known nationally and internationally, and it was very popular, and people wanted to cash in on that popularity. Back then, there were no copyright laws to protect her work and her characters, and so many people, to cash in on the popularity, they began to put together plays and melodramas about the book. Now, the character of Uncle Tom was made out to be so extreme and exaggerated. They made him out to be a character with the black painted face, goofy and shuffling. They made his character out to be a clown. And that image of Uncle Tom is the one that is prevalent. That's the one that has prevailed. In closing, again, I like the book, and if you're not easily offended, I would recommend that you read it, especially if you're a Christian. This book, it raised the awareness of the cruelty and the evil of slavery. It shaped the opinions of many people. It was published about 10 years before the Civil War began, and it's reported that Abraham Lincoln, when he met Harriet Beecher Stowe, he credited her book on having an impact on the starting of the Civil War. Again, I recommend the book, and being called an Uncle Tom is a compliment based on the character in this book.